Alright guys, so this unit 4, we're going to deal with rational expressions. So the first thing we need to do is simplify rational expressions. At the definition, so rational expression is a fraction in which the numerator and denominator are polynomials. So that means that we have variables both in the numerator and denominator. We'll see x's on top and the bottom. So just basically fractions that have variables is what we're dealing with. Okay. Next, simplifying a rational expression. To simplify, we're just going to cancel out the common factors between the numerator and denominator. So basically, simplifying means we're going to cancel out our common factors on top and bottom. Okay, let's look at a couple examples. So if I look at this, I have 14a squared b to the 5th over 10ab to the 7th. Okay, now when I'm looking at this, what I'm going to go ahead and do, okay, is let's look at just the numbers first. Okay, that 14 and that 10. Okay, I notice just those numbers. What number goes into both of those? Well, I know a 2 can go into both of those. So 2 goes into both of those, so I'm going to be left with 7 on top and 5 on the bottom because a 2 can go into both of those. Okay, I'm really just reducing that fraction, dividing them both by 2. Now let's look at these variables. I have a squared and a. Now when we're doing these, kind of think about which one has more. Well, the top has more. The top has 2, the bottom one has 1. So we can actually cancel or simplify 1a on the bottom for 1a on top. And if I take 1a on top, I'm left with 1a. So there's our a. Now let's look at the b's. I have 5 b's on top and 7. So I can take away the 5 on the top, okay, for 5 on the bottom. So then I'm left with b squared since I took away 5 and I had 7. Okay, so this is going to be b squared. And that's my final answer because I have nothing else that I can simplify on the top and bottom. Now this is kind of a key idea. So when we're simplifying, the first thing that we need to do is we need to sometimes factor it before we can cancel common factors. Okay, the ones we just did were pretty easy because they were just single terms. It was a number, an a and an x, or an x and a y, or whatever letters we have there. But sometimes we're going to need to factor. So that's kind of our first step, is always factor if you can. Then simplify. So let's look. Now here's the common misconception that people do, and they're gonna get in trouble because it's not what we can do. A lot of people just want to cross off this 12x for this x and say, okay, that's gonna just be 3x squared plus, well, 6 goes into both of those, so they say 2 and the x's cancel off. We can't do that, okay? You gotta kind of think of this part up here, okay? You gotta think of this 3x squared plus 12x kind of as a package deal. Okay, when we have adding and subtracting signs between those, it's like a package. So we can't just cross off top and bottom. We have to try to factor first. If I notice, I can take a 3x out of both of these. So I'm going to have a 3x, okay? If I divide a 3x out of both of those, I'm not going to have 3x squared anymore. I'm going to only have 1x, okay? And then 3x goes into 12x. That's going to be plus 4, because 3 goes into 12 4 times, and we take an x out. All right, now on the bottom I have 6x. Okay, now the fact that we factored it out, now since there's multiplication in between them, now we can actually try to cancel them out or simplify them. Okay, same thing we just did. I see our numbers 3 and 6. 3 can go into both of those. 3 goes into 3 one time. 6 goes into 6, or 3 goes into 6 2 times. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 on top and a 2 on the bottom. Okay. Now if I do x plus 4, or sorry, we have an x and an x that I can cancel. Okay. Those just go away, so I don't have any x's. And on top I have an x plus 4. Okay. So you can keep the 1 there, or we can just rewrite this as x plus 4 over 2. Okay, and since this is x plus 4, that's a package deal. We can't cancel that 4 and that 2. So this is my answer. Now, let's look at number 2. We have x minus 2 over 5x squared minus 10x. Remember, we can't just cancel out the 2 and the 10. We can't just cancel things out. We have to try to factor first. On the bottom, I noticed that I can take a 5 out of both of these, and they both have an x that I can take out. So we can take a 5x out, and if we do that, we're going to left with x minus 2. Okay, and I don't need this anymore. Okay, so now that I look at it, we can kind of see we have an x minus 2 on top that'll cancel out with this x minus 2. Now, when you cancel, it does go away, but technically it leaves a 1 there. Okay, so I'm going to have 1 over, well, 5x times 1 is just 5x, so I can just put the 5x down here. Okay, and there's my answer. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 4. So if we look at this, remember, you can't just cross things off because these are like package deals. Okay, so, but if I look, I'm going to try to factor, so I know that I see a 3 can go into both of those, so I'm going to actually rewrite this as 3. Okay, and then x plus 3 goes into 12 4 times. Okay, now on the bottom, if we look, kind of looks weird. There's no GCF there, but we can factor that. Remember, we can do 1 times 8, so what things multiply to 8, okay, but adds up to 6? Well, 2 and 4 does. Okay, so we can factor this on the bottom, okay, is x, and then fill them in. So we have a positive 2 and a positive 4. All right, now we look at it. Okay, is there anything that matches? We have these x plus 4s that match. So we're going to be left with a 3 over x plus 2. Okay? You can put the x plus 2 in parentheses, or you can just write it like that. Either is fine. Now let's look at number 5. So if we notice, it's a trinomial. It has 3 terms. So let's try to factor that. What things multiply to 5, okay, but add up to a negative 6? Well, I know things that multiply to 5 are 1 and 5. Okay, that's really it. But it has to be a negative 6, so I know both of them have to be negative. Okay, so we're going to have our x and our x. Okay, so we have minus 1 and minus 5. Okay, sweet. Now let's do the bottom. Now remember, you have to do your a times your c, so 2 times negative 3 will be negative 6. So what things multiply to negative 6 and add up to 1? Okay. Well, we have 2 and 3, and we know one of them has to be negative. Well, I want it to be a positive 1, so I'm going to make it a negative 2. Okay, so I have 2x in one, and then I have an x in the other. Now remember, you have to use this 2 to make one of these numbers. Well, 2 goes into 2 one time, so this is going to be minus 1. And then the plus 3 is going to be in the other box. Okay? Now once we have that, we can say, okay, what things match? Which I really like about simplifying fractions. It's kind of just a matching game. Okay? So x minus 1, boom. For this x minus 1, boom. So then let's write what we have left. We have x minus 5 over 2x plus 3. Okay? I don't have anything else that I can cancel out since these are both kind of package deals. So there's our answer. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 8. So we're going to go ahead and, if I look at the top, say, okay, I kind of need to do something with that, right? You can't just cross off these x squares. Don't be that person. Don't do that, okay? So, but what I can do is remember, what things multiply to negative 9? Well, 3 and negative 3. So that's going to be x minus 3 and x plus 3. That was kind of that easy one that we can factor, okay? All right, and then on the bottom, I noticed that I can take a 2x out of both of those. So we're going to have 2x on the outside as a GCF, and then we have x plus 2x goes into 6x 3 times. Okay, now once I have that, we can go ahead and cross off the best part of this, x plus 3, we're making these look smaller, we're simplifying these. So x minus 3 over 2x. Now since this is x minus 3, I can't cancel out those x's. So there's my answer. So describe what it means to simplify a rational expression in your own words. In my own words, I would probably say that it is to cancel out any common factors in the numerator and denominator. Okay, go ahead and try your practice problems.